good evening, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, my family, my fans all over the world. This is Christine on Immaculate show with the last episode of this week. Sincerely, I'm very grateful for the DMs that have been coming in. So I have to say, bravo, God bless you, keep doing that, and let us roll into the next episode of this week. But before doing that, I would love to appreciate all the fans that are sending in these DMs, especially from Somalia. My fans from Dubai, you're wonderful. My fans from Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, USA, Canada, you're great to me. You're very great. You're very great. There are a lot of concern and also some queries that you have put across. But today, before we start this week's episode about the truth or my experience in Dubai, let me first take you through one of the concerns. My fans from Nigeria and from Somalia, they have put this query across concerning Dubai and UAE, that most people don't know the difference between UAE or the similarity between UAE and Dubai. So go with me to this. At least for a short time, I want to clear your doubts about it. UAE is United Arab Emirates, and UAE consists of 7 emirates, or we can call them states or cities, of which Dubai happens to be one of the emirates or one of the states or cities that are within UAE. Dubai is known all over the world because of its business and the welcoming state. So that one is automatic. That's why Dubai is known all over. Then we have Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is the capital city of UAE. Then we have Sharjah, we have Ajman, we have Immaculate, we have Ras Al, we have Fujairah. So those makes them 7 emirates within UAE. They came together and they made UAE. So this week I have for you our beautiful guests. I'll take them over and they will tell you exactly this topic, how hot it is. And they are going to tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. But before that, let me take you through our topic of this week. Our topic of this week is about family reality in UAE. What do you think? Or what I thought when I was coming about the family in UAE and what I found out. But before they tell you the experience and what I experienced, I need to give you some of the requirements for you to have a family in UAE or for you to live comfortably in UAE. Yes, in UAE and in particular in Dubai, you can have a family. A family starts from 2 and above. It's very possible. It's very 100% possible. But what do you need or what do you require for your loved ones, your children, your wifey, your husband, or your father, your grandfather to stay in this country? So let's say you are the breadwinner or you are the first person that came to UAE or you're planning to come to UAE. What do you need exactly? I'll give you some few points. Exactly, that's what you need. Later, if you want to calculate, if you want to go in figures, if you want to go in details, you can send a message. I'll guide you. First things first. The first thing for you to settle with your family in UAE, you need an entry visa. An entry visa is a permission for you to come in UAE. You can come in as a visitor or as a tourist. It always not much money depending on the country you come from. Like me from Uganda, an entry visa will start from 1,400, that is 1,400,000, which is for 3 months. Why 3 months? Because it allows you to organize for another visa that makes you stay for a long time. So depending on your country, you need an entry visa. Then the second, you need residence visa. A residential visa, you get it when you're already in United Arab Emirates. And who processes this? It is either your person that is sponsoring you. So can I take you through with my guests have been living in UAE and they have a family. Yeah, they have different statuses. one is in Sharjah, one is in Dubai. I'm going to request them to introduce themselves to you. Please kindly tell the viewers of Immaculate Show, how many years have you been in Dubai? Kindly, can you tell us what makes your life easy? And from whatever I've been telling the public, do you think you can add something there? How is it simple and how is it challenging to raise a family in United Arab Emirates? Hello, Mrs. Toli Jesu. You're most welcome to Immaculate Show. May you introduce yourself to our viewers who are watching all over the world?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time of the day you're watching this. Ekaro, Ekaso, Ekale, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Toli Jesu. Thank you so very much for having me on this show, Sister Christine. I do not take this for granted. Thank you for this privilege. It's been an amazing years knowing you and being a friend to you.
How long have you been in UAE?
I have been in UAE since 2015, and then officially our family began. When I mean family, it means we started having, we had our child in 2017.
For the time that you have been in and within UAE with the family, how do you wind it all?
First of all, I would like you to know that your child is solely your responsibility in the UAE. No one else is going to take that responsibility for you.
Which type of a person are you while in UAE?
When I say that, I mean I'm talking to you as a resident, not I'm not talking about someone that is a citizen. I mean someone that migrated from another country. I am from Nigeria, so I am and my husband were from Nigeria, from Yoruba tribe of Nigeria to be precise. And then we are here as residents of this country. So I'll be talking to you as a resident of UAE.
What does it take to have or raise a family in UAE?
Okay, like I said, your child is your responsibility, your family is your responsibility. And what your child gets as a resident of this country is basically being a resident of this country, nothing else. It means that your child is free to walk around in this nation and your child can go to school on your bill. But I'm not going to be talking about that for now. First of all, I will let you know also that if you are planning to start raising your family in the UAE, the first thing to get done is to make sure that your wife has a medical insurance before she gets pregnant. I will say that again. Make sure that your wife or you as a wife, you have a medical insurance before you get pregnant.
How should one process this medical insurance?
So for example, you are planning to get pregnant in the month of March. Make sure your insurance starts already by January, so that when you'll be delivering that baby at the end of the year, at the end of that 9 months, your insurance can cover for that baby. Once you go for the visa application with all your documents intact, which include your bank statement account to be sure that you are receiving the salary of 4,000 or 5,000 minimum, and then you go with the sponsor's passport, and also you go with your tenancy contract that has the name of the sponsor on the same contract. You go with your own visa, and then you apply for the visa. Once the visa is approved for the child, your child will be able to have 2 years residency visa with his Emirate ID card or Emirate ID card. And once you are done with that, you need to get a medical insurance for your child. It's very important, because you don't want to have a case whereby your child has to go to the hospital and then you have to go and pay by yourself. So basically, these are the things that you need to start raising a family in the UAE. But just have it at the back of your mind, your child is your sole responsibility, including the schooling, the feeding, education, residency of this child. Everything depends on you.
For a while now, Madam Toli Jesu, you've been in UAE with your family. How have you been coping?
The fact that I go to work and then I come back home and then I am able to meet my family, it's a blessing.
Precisely. How do families here in UAE be compared to families back home?
Actually, not like when you're in Africa. When you're in Africa, you will definitely have someone that can come around to help you out with something. You have a cousin, you have a younger one, a brother, a sister that can always come around to help you out with one or two things. But here it's not like that. So basically, you have to get everything done by yourself, or you look for a support system that can help you out. For example, for me, I get some cleaning company to come clean my house for me once in a month. So what I do is I do my cleaning by myself every weekend, because we actually work 6 days in a week. Okay, so I do my cleaning by myself every weekend, but thorough cleaning I contract it out for a company. And so that's how I get my cleaning done. And then the same thing happens to cooking. I buy everything in bulk, then I try to do my cooking as well in bulk, so that every day once I come back from work, at least I'm sure that I can always bring out food from the freezer and warm it, and maybe just cook some little thing, maybe rice, or make some swallow from Nigeria.
Thank you very much. You're most welcome to Immaculate Show. May you introduce yourself to our viewers who are watching.
Hi, my name is Tabitha, and I'm a mother, a wife, and I'm living in the UAE, that's the United Arab Emirates, in an emirate called Fujairah. So,
Where is that located?
it's one of the emirates which is in the northern emirate.
How is it like to have a family in UAE?
I must say it's easy and not really easy. Why did I say that? One, you have some things that you need to have a family, like requirements.
What things do you need to have a family in UAE?
One, you can't have a family in the UAE if you're not married legally.
For you in particular, what type of a family do you have?
So let me say it's a spouse. I'm going to talk about a spouse because I'm not talking about my mother, my brother. No, I'm going to talk about a family, a nuclear family. That's a husband, wife, a mother, father, children, or mother and father. So the first thing you need, the requirement is you have to have a sponsor. One of you has to sponsor the other. So for example, in my case, my husband has sponsored my stay in the UAE. So I'm on husband visa. And the husband visa you can't get, you have some requirements that you need to get that. You have to have a valid marriage certificate that is attested from your country and the UAE. So it's not something fake. You have to confirm that you are married legally. Two, you have to have a house contract, like a tenancy contract, like you have a house where you're going to live. And of course, you have to have a certain amount of a minimum salary, where they start a cut of around 5,000. So those are the major requirements. So let's go directly to the point. How is it? How did I get it? In the UAE, it's everyone for himself and God for us all.
How is it like to have children with you in UAE?
When you have a family and children come in, actually when you're like a family and the children are not yet in, it's a little bit easier. But when children come in, then it forces some people, like one of them has to stay home to take care of the child, or get someone who can take care of the child, like a nanny or a friend, kind of.
Then, how expensive are the house helpers when you need one?
It's really quite pricey, I won't lie. It's like a minimum of 1,000 you can get someone. And so the childcare is a bit expensive.
I know families need safety. How well is it okay for someone like you?
The safety and everything, I really appreciate that for the UAE. You know, when you leave the child at home, you're safe, because cameras are allowed, of course, but you have to tell the person in the house, like, you have a camera. Is that in the corridors, most of the buildings, they have cameras. So if anything wants to happen, like anything fishy, of course, it can be recorded. You know, it's safe. There is eyes everywhere. Then that's the part I can feel it's a little bit, better. For the terms of housing, yes, you can't have a family and stay in a bed space, because you understand that in those bed spaces they are sharing rooms and everything. For privacy purposes, of course, you have to have a house. That's why even it's a requirement for you to have a husband or wife visa in the UAE, whereby you have to have your own house.
Yes, I see. Is it that cheap for one to get a house?
Truly, the house in the UAE are not really cheap, but they go as per, your affordability. That's what I say. So, like getting a house, yeah, it's not really very cheap, so you need to plan for that.
About work and the family, how do these two relate?
Then I feel in terms of work, most of the time work schedules don't match. So you could be living as a husband and wife, but you meet in like 2 hours or 1 hour in a day, or sometimes even when one is coming in, another one is going out. But that's life, right?
Conclusively, what is your say about UAE and families?
And I feel it's a place where they value families a lot. Like you, family, there is a way you are. They look at you like, not like when you are single. People feel like you are here with a different motive or something like that. So they love family so much as a country, and I'm happy to be here, of course, with my family, and thank you to what has been, UAE has been providing for us.
That is wonderful. Any challenge in that relation?
Yeah, the only problem or the only advantage is that you can't have a stay forever, like a citizenship for the UAE. So if you're bringing your family, know that you're bringing them for on a renewal basis, like every 2 years, every 3 years you have to renew their papers, and that's how it works. So of course the renewal and everything is money. So those are other things that you need to calculate on. But anyway, it's, for me, we're here making a family, and it's that. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and God bless.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening to me, and thank you very much for listening to my guests that honored me and accepted the invite of today. It's really wonderful. Do you have any query about all these points we have been talking about? Do you want to settle in UAE? Kindly drop down your comment or your query, or you can send it on my WhatsApp or on my email. Please follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, all we are there. Even on TikTok, we are there as Immaculate's Show. If you have any query, please ask it on these points of requirements of being in UAE as a family. We'll give you the figures depending on which country you come from, and we'll do more elaboration about them. Thank you very much. Remember to subscribe. Please subscribe. And if also you're on this channel for a long time, please give it a thumbs up and a like. Remember, I love you so much. I love you for loving me. I love you for loving us. Thank you very much. Have a nice week. God bless you all. Bye-bye.